Hello, this is Patrick, and I want to demonstrate a few things today. First off, I made a water about the water quality in the United States, and it's really gotten pretty toxic in the last few years. I want to know, when did the water... Can you show me LA water 1960? I'm going to rate it. Watch what happens. Okay, LA water 1960. It was basically a 5. 1970. 4. 1980. So in 1980, we got 2. So it really took a drop. It's below 2. 1990. It's a 10, 2000, and 2016. Okay, so it's a 0.25. So 1960, you had 5 watt water, which is pretty good water for a municipal water supply, to 0.25. Of that toxicity, which is almost 3.75, drop from acceptable, right? 4 is acceptable water. It's not going to kill you. This water will make you sick in about a year, in a year and a half, all right? Physically sick. You'll get physical health issues from drinking this water because it's 0.25. No one has water that bad. Let's go look at Flint, Michigan as our base, all right? And where's Flint, Michigan a year ago before the election? All right, year and a half ago. Let's go Flint, Michigan. Okay. And it had lead. Okay, under 1, please. So Flint, Michigan, their water was 0.1. LA is 0.25. This is real bad stuff. You go back to 1960, 1970, it was a 4. So even by 1970, LA water, which is a huge municipal water supply, was acceptable at a 4. And then boom, this is highly toxic. Highly. Then you have to ask why. What is being done? And then we douse it and you ask, is this being done on purpose for LA? What part of this is deliberate? What percent of the toxicity below 4 is due to deliberate? So 35% is deliberate. All right? That's really amazing. So what I wanted to do is, can you see? Yeah, you can see it. This is lapis azul. And I wanted to ask, I want to see Miami, please. Point 2. I want to see Milwaukee. Point, is that below 1? Could you give me the number, please? 0.3. It's awful. Chicago. Is that below 1? Could you show me the number, please? So Chicago and LA are both 0.25. Manhattan, it's 0.1. Queens is 0.25. Really, really, really bad. This, how many, if you drank this water every day, when will you become, will you become sick? In how many years? I said yes. In 2 years? It's less than 2 years. The answer is 1.1 and a quarter year. So 12, 13, about 15 months. 15 months you will be physically sick. You will develop issues in your health if you drink this water. Perrier, it's shipped in glass. Wow. Perrier from France is very high. Is that over 8? 8.3. 8.3. Could you give me Arrow, which is in a plastic? Arrow in a plastic. Arrow water is in a plastic container. Point 5. Niagara in plastic bottle. 0.3. 0.25. 2.5. Excuse me. 2.5. So that's a toxic bottled water. Arrow is susceptible. Could you give me Safeway gallon water purified? .5. So 2.5 for gallon water purified. So it's not any good. And if you just regular Safeway Spring, it's like the same. 2.5. But okay, that's Aspen, Colorado. 5. Okay, Boston. City limits of Boston, the mean average 2.5. Hartford, Connecticut. 4.5. How about Cherry Hills, New Jersey? 3. What did I say Aspen was? Let's do a different one. Vail, Colorado. Vail is 6. No, it's lower. No, it's 6. Denver, Colorado. 2.5. Boulder, Colorado. 5. Santa Barbara, California. 4. San Diego. 1. Is that a 1? Yes. Monterey, California. 1. Salinas, California. 2.5. I don't know why Monterey is worse. Monterey's a higher income town. Carmel, California. Carmel. 4. Or 3.5. 3.5. Atlanta, Georgia. You know, it's looked like someone's trying to kill people here. Under 1. I can't remember. Oh, this is Atlanta, Georgia. 0.5. No. 0.4. Excuse me. 0.4. And then what else we got? Washington, D.C. 1.5. This is all really, really bad. Okay, in regards to LA water, what percentage was deliberately poisoned? The score under 4. It's 40%. 40% of the toxicity. So, I forget what I said. So that's pretty interesting. 40% is deliberate. But you go back to 1960, it was a 5. New York City, 1960, their water, please. 5.5. Atlanta, Georgia, 1960, the water, please. Is that a 4-ish? Plus or minus 10%. Yeah. Boston, 1960. I'm getting a 5, so that was decent. LA, I did LA. Seattle today. What is Seattle today? Seattle today, considering it's a large city, it's a 2. So I don't know what the problem here. Of the toxicity below 4, what percent is due to fluoride? Is the fluoride put in the water? What percent of the toxicity? Oh, that's not affecting the score much. Can you be more exact, please? About 8%. Chlorine. How much does chlorine add to the toxicity of the water? I would say 40%. So that's 48% of the toxicity comes from those two chemicals. You still got 52% remaining. They're doing other stuff to the water. I don't really know. It's really mind-boggling. And let's go up to Vancouver. Let's see what the Canadians are doing. 3. Oh, it's almost a 4. It's a 4. Toronto, Canada. Toronto, Canada. 4. So why is Toronto, Canada 4 and Detroit is? Boom. It's awful. It's way down there. It's 0.25, 0.3. It's awful. You're going to get sick drinking that water. And you can tell it has to do with income groups and the willingness of the city. Show me Manhattan with no chlorine and no fluoride. I don't know if it's possible, but let's go look at it. No chlorine, no fluoride. What is the quality of the water? Goes up a lot. Yeah. Manhattan goes up to a 5. What is it today? Yeah. That's amazing. So for LA, if you take the chlorine, the fluoride out, I already went over it. It was 48% between those two. And chlorine, now, the water is moving. It's aerated. There's lots of ways to clean water, but they insist upon this because it's the cheapest. And that's the premise. You shouldn't be drinking chlorine. That's why I recommend, you live in these places, well, at least try Brita or any of those. I mean, they're crude filters, but they get out some of the chlorine and fluoride. Make sure whatever you get addresses those two issues. But there's a lot of things affecting, the groundwater is toxic compared to what it was in 1960. So that could be one of the issues, the groundwater. And, all right. And how much of the toxicity is deliberate? Well, it's 40%. Consciously, how much of this toxicity is deliberate to make the people sick? Consciously. What is that number? It's 40%. So that's what I wanted to show you, that one issue for the bottled water, I'm free flowing here, so don't look for logic, please. The bottled water, the plastic leaches. Now, I got this video idea. Someone a couple months ago in the comments section wrote about the water. And so I started looking into it nationally. So 40% is actually a conscious effort by our city, municipal, federal officials to make it toxic. I mean, they want to make you sick. That's what it's saying. That's what it's saying. And fluoride and chlorine, their purpose is only to make you sick. That's the major reason they put it in there. And that's responsible for, let's round it off to 50%, those two. Then you got another 50% of chemicals we don't even know about. And I think from city to city, like lead is a good one, another example for Flint, Michigan, and things like that. So, it's hard to get clean water, I know. And don't forget, if you're drinking a glass of water, you can always say the prayer that helps raise the frequency and it neutralizes the chemicals. You either believe it or you don't. There's nothing I can do about that. That prayer we already discussed before comes from the 11th dimension. It's 8 dimensions above our 3D. We are moving into the 4th, all right? We're probably somewhere. Let's see what dimension we are. I haven't checked in a long time. We are moving. Our frequency is moving up. So, we are humanity. Okay, we're above. See, we're above 3. Could you give me an exact number, please? All right. We are 3.4. Is that correct? Yes, no. 3.5. When are we going to be in the 4th dimension? How many years? When are we going to be in the 4th dimension? Is that less than 10 years? Is that more than 5 years? Wait a minute. I'm so connected today. Okay, could you tell me where it is? How many years, please? I'm sorry, I'm just kind of, I'm not getting those. It says we should be there in about 4 years. We should be in the 4th dimension. When are we going to be in the 5th dimension? Are we going to be in the 5th dimension within 100 years? Are we going to be in 5th dimension? It says yes. Okay. How many years is that from now? Is that more than 20 years? Could you give me the exact number? So about 23 years. We'll move into the 5th dimension. What did I say before? The 4th dimension will be completed by whatever. Is that 3 years roughly? Yes. Well, that's pretty exciting. So in 3 years, we'll be in the 4th dimension. That prayer was created in the 11th dimension. And it was created and it was sent down onto this plane. And it's one of the prayers that, because where it was made, the words are simple. You know, anyone could have written those, but it's not. The prayer, the intention is injected into the prayer. That's what happened. You're calling upon, you're inviting that 11th dimension energy into your life. That's what you're doing. And you're calling upon it, you know where it's from, and you're receiving that help where you want to project that prayer and that frequency into. All right? And that's pretty exciting. So we are moving forward. And that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about the water. So did I tell you that the glass containers are your best containers? We should go back to glass containers for milk, glass containers for everything, or ceramic. Because once they went into the plastics, the fertility rates of males went down to like sterile. And that's been a conscious effort to do that. Again, the leaching from the plastic into the product is an issue. And then in the canned products, you already know they spray it, and again with all sorts of things. And that's where all the diseases are coming from. If you look back at the I don't want to get into that, but when you go back to your relatives, a lot of them lived. If they got out of childhood, they would live pretty old. And I know my relatives, if you go back to the 1880s or whatever, 1910, they were in their late 80s. And in the modern era, that number kind of goes down a little bit, depending on you know, uh, where you're located and what your job was and things like that. The kind of stress you get from jobs is really awful. People that worked out in the farm, it was actually a healthier lifestyle than modern work. You're in the office, you're stressed out about climbing the ladder, and it's really artificial. It's an artificial environment. Anyway, that's that. I think you can make an effort to drink clean water, and let's say how much for overall health. How much is clean water for? Where does it rate? If we gave it a percentage score, it likes the 40% for your overall health. If you get clean water, there's 40% of the pie. Then you move to the food. Then you move to the environment, your job, your home, and things. What kind of stress you got. But that's just one element. It's something you can easily address with different kind of water filters. And I'm not rating them here at all. I'm just saying they're available. Go out and look at them. And I think making an effort to get rid of the fluoride and chlorine and the other chemicals, you're on your way to and douse it. Go douse it yourself. You can do this at home. Just make your own chart up. All right. Bye bye. I just want to demonstrate the L-rod. We're going to go through, and I'm going to just go quickly. Tell me when you're ready. Give me a yes. That's the yes. Could you give me Aspen, Colorado water, please? Aspen, Colorado. Aspen, Colorado. Very good water. Could you give me LA, California? The city of Los Angeles, California. Could you give me Seattle? The city of Seattle, please. All right. Looks like whatever. Could you give me Boulder, Colorado? Boulder, Colorado. Could you give me Chicago, Illinois? Chicago, Illinois. Chicago, Illinois. The water, as a drinking water. And finally, could you give me Westport, Connecticut? Westport, Connecticut. That's a rich town, an affluent town, as they say. Westport. Wow, that's pretty good. And finally, could you give me Atlanta, Georgia? Atlanta, Georgia. All right. And that's Atlanta, Georgia. If the city fathers put money into the water system, how high can they increase it by, I don't know how much money, doubling the water? Let's say we double the budget. What can we do? How much can we clean the water? Atlanta, Georgia. How much can we clean it up? You double the budget. You can do what? It looks like a 6.5. So that's just an example of our water supply. Thank you. Bye-bye.